Namaste everyone. This is Hanish Katnawar from Himalayan Hemp, and today we have one of the very special guests who has said that cannabis is one of the five essential plants in the Vedas. So I welcome from Himalayan Hemp Dr. Uma. Dr. Uma, welcome to the show, and it's great to see you.
Hanish, thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here. And I'm here in lovely Cambridge, Massachusetts today.
Thank you. So, my first question for you is that I would like you to introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, I'm very proud to say I am an Indian. I was born in Bombay and I migrated to the United States in 1970 with my parents and my brother. I've been very fortunate that I had a dream to become a doctor, and I am a doctor today. And I've been double boarded in two very specialties, which is family medicine and occupational and environmental medicine. I'm also specialized in the field of heavy metals, and I have been certified as a medical review officer, and I am one of 50 doctors in the nation that's a certified cannabinoid medicine specialist. And my background has been that I have been doing research, and I'm very proud to say I love what I do, and I take care of patients of all ages.
Thank you. Thank you for introducing yourself. So, interestingly, like in one of your articles, I have read that you have done extensive research on endocannabinoid system, like which is ECS. So, please shed some light upon it and what you have identified so far and what you have to say about ECS.
I am so glad that you are mentioning one of my favorite systems in the human body. And most people, including myself, I really knew nothing about the endocannabinoid system, and most doctors to this day are really not even trained or even have learned about it yet. It's a system that's a mere 600 million years old. It has evolved from a sea squirt to what we know in humans today, and our country, India, has been very fortunate because as part of our Ayurvedic medicine, Ayu means life and Veda means knowledge, we have been very familiar with the plant known as cannabis. We've called it different names, and it has been part of our culture and even part of our religion and in practices for many, many years. And India has been the root of this plant, and the knowledge of this plant was taught to a doctor by the name of William O'Shaughnessy, who first learned about cannabis from our Ayurvedic doctors in 1833 when he came to Kolkata. He learned about this plant and took the knowledge that he learned for all of its uses to Europe and to the United States. It has been part of medicine in the United States, and it was actually listed in the pharmacopoeia from 1850 to 1942. Most doctors don't even know this. They don't realize that it was actually a medicine, and doctors actually wrote a prescription for this medicine. My knowledge came about this in 2012 is when I started to actually practice using this medicine as a tool for my patients. But unfortunately or fortunately, my aspirations for this plant came when my mother first saw this plant being used in a TV program in Israel. And I never got to use this plant for my mother. And she died of a lung disease known as idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And many people don't understand what this means, but I'll take the word apart. Idiopathic means we don't know. Pulmonary is related to the lungs, and fibrosis means that the lungs are not able to move. So many people think of COPD. When we think of lung disease, that's related to smoking. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis is a disease that can happen to people that have never ever smoked but can have a disease that affects their lung, and in my mother's case and in many cases can cause death. But this plant has been known throughout the world and has been part of agriculture and one of the most oldest agricultural plants that we know about. My experience as far as understanding about the endocannabinoid system is that Dr. Raphael Mechoulam first started to work with this plant in Israel and started to study the plant. It was then that he identified THC and said it is the psychoactive component of the plant, and CBD, which is the non-psychoactive component of the plant. Today we know that there's thousands of components and there's over 140 different cannabinoids. There's terpenoids, there's flavonoids, there's fatty acids, and the list goes on and on. What we also know is that there are receptors. CB1 primarily in the brain, CB2 primarily in the immune system, but we know that these receptors are throughout the body. And what we also know is cannabis works as a plant with these receptors that are within the human body. And it is not only the human body, but mammals. So animals also possess the endocannabinoid system. And what we know is that there are endocannabinoids, there's phytocannabinoids, and there's synthetic cannabinoids. Synthetic cannabinoids are ones that are made in the lab. For example, Marinol, which has been around from the 80s. When we talk about phytocannabinoids, they are from plants. For example, cannabis. And endocannabinoids are cannabinoids that are made within our own body. But these were not discovered till 1992. We did not know about the receptors till 1988, and we did not know that our body produced endocannabinoids till 1992. The first endocannabinoid Dr. Mechoulam identified was called anandamide. Ananda, from our language, our culture, which means joy, eternal bliss. And what they found is that anandamide and THC mimic one another. And that's why it's able to fit and work so beautifully with the receptors that are throughout our body.
यत्र यत्र स्थितो देव सर्वव्यापी महेश्वरः यो गुरु सर्वदेवानां यकाराय नमो नमः ॐ नमः शिवाय ॐ नमः शिवाय षडाक्षरमिदं स्तोत्रं शिवाय यः पठेत् शिवसञ्जितम् शिवलोकमवाप्नोति शिवेन सह